Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Buy Mastery Podcast, where our focus is on providing tools, resources, and insights that empower driven individuals to become the masters of their own financial independence journey. My name is Peter Dolisano, and today we're going to talk about why you need a family charter. Now, if you're a first-generation wealth builder and you're serious about raising a family that makes a lasting impact on future generations, then you need a family charter. That's because it's one thing to hope that by building wealth, your family will naturally come together in a constructive way, but the truth is that creating lasting wealth involves deliberate thought and action and ultimately guidance from a unified reference point. That's why today we'll discuss how to dial in your family's vision and purpose, why your charter can be an excellent tool for conflict resolution, and why creating a charter is not just a set it and forget it approach that requires you to come back and revisit it constantly. So with that, let's dive into today's podcast. Under the right conditions, money does grow on trees. Yeah, you heard that right. And to be clear, money can only grow on trees when it grows from a family tree. How so? Well, when each successive generation in a family tree works together, they can produce a varying measure of wealth that benefits each family member and the broader community. And so what's the catch here? Well, the catch is that wealth produced by your family doesn't just happen on its own because it's cultivated with intention and forethought. Indeed, this work involves deliberate planning that defines your family's purpose, lays out how your family will address conflicts and repair ruptures, and ultimately defines how your family will respond to inevitable life changes. And so how do you go about creating a plan to grow a family tree that produces fruit for generations to come? Well, you can start by creating a family charter and then focusing on the money. You see, it's one thing to simply gather assets, and it's another to cultivate an environment where your family is willing to cooperate and work together to wisely steward those financial resources and raise up a tree that bears fruit for generations to come. Indeed, whether you have young kids at home, your children are grown and out of the house, or your family involves your community of friends, creating a family charter, or often referred to as a family constitution or family compact, can help ensure that your family tree eventually prints cash to benefit your family and community for generations to come. All right, so this all sounds good, right? So where exactly do you start with putting together a family charter? Well, regardless of where you're at in your money story, you can start by getting crystal clear about your family's purpose and direction. Certainly, your charter will ultimately reflect the complexity of your financial situation and your current family dynamic. But to get this process up and off the ground, you'll want to start with the basics. And so what basics are we talking about here when it comes to your family purpose? Well, in the context of a family charter, your family's purpose refers to the underlying reason for your family's collective existence beyond just what your shared genetics or legal ties are. Indeed, it's about defining what your family stands for now, what you want your family's legacy to be, and what contributions your family can make in your community and more broadly in the world. So then when your purpose is clearly defined, it becomes your vision that acts as a compass and guides your family's decisions, your behaviors, and your goals, and helps each family member understand the bigger impact of their actions and how they contribute to the family's overall mission. And so we talked about starting with your purpose. What about the direction we mentioned earlier? Well, direction is all about setting a clear path for achieving your family's vision and purpose. It involves outlining specific goals and milestones and strategies that align with the family's purpose overall. And so defining your direction is crucial because it provides you with a sense of clarity and focus for everybody involved and ensures that all family members are working towards some common objectives. Indeed, James E. Hughes Jr., who's a proponent of family wealth and legacy planning, he emphasizes in his work how a well-defined vision and direction in a family charter can foster a sense of unity and commitment towards all family members. So then how do you go about identifying your family's purpose? Well, this process begins with your family engaging in a frank and inclusive conversation about what's important to you as a collective. And what if your kids are too young to understand what we're talking about when it comes to your family's purpose? Well, even if you're a first-generation wealth builder and your children are still young, it's essential to involve them in the work of building out your family's purpose. That's because even at a young age, many children instinctively know what's important to them about their family and the kind of difference that their own family unit can make in the world. That's why it's crucial that everyone is encouraged to share their goals and their dreams and their ideas of the future, no matter how out of left field their ideas might be. At the same time, staying open-minded will ensure that your discussions are conducted in an environment of respect and openness, which could allow all the voices in your family to be heard and to be considered, no matter how silly they might sound. Indeed, when everyone feels like they've contributed to this charter in an equal way and have been fully heard, then there's a higher chance of charter buy-in and active participation in the process going forward. Either way, your task is to find common ground among each diverse viewpoint, and this involves identifying shared values and goals and aspirations that resonate with each member of your household or your community. So then ultimately, your purpose, or what your family was put on earth to accomplish, should be defined in your charter in a way that achieves a delicate balance of honoring individual desires and that destination of where your family is moving towards as a collective that defines defines a unified vision that everyone can commit to. And so as you start to shape out the shared vision, your work should culminate in an articulated, clear, concise, and inspiring vision statement. Now, this vision statement should be forward-looking and encapsulate not just where your family is today, but where you aspire to be in the future. That's because this vision statement will ultimately be the benchmark against which everyone in the family measures their behaviors and their choices. And so what does defining your purpose and creating your vision statement look like? Well, this approach may include storytelling, where you recall past successes and challenges and how your family navigated them, to imagining future scenarios for your family by clearly describing where you're going and why you're going there. Ultimately, focusing on your purpose and the direction for your family charter by starting with your shared vision serves as the foundation upon which your family builds its identity and its legacy. Indeed, your charter lays the foundation for helping family members understand their roles within the larger family system. It encourages responsible stewardship of family assets, and it fosters a culture of collaboration and mutual respect, not just for today's household, but for generations to come. All right, so we've discussed how your shared family vision can act as a benchmark to gauge your family's purpose and direction. Now let's talk about how you can use your charter to help your family stay on track when times get tough. Indeed, a family charter, when used to create a compelling vision for the future, is all about getting each family member on the same page, but doing so in a way that invites everyone to participate. In a similar way, when times get tough, a family charter becomes a vital tool for avoiding communication breakdowns and repairing relationship ruptures within your family. How so? Well, that's because when approached the right way, your charter acts like a framework that defines guidelines for communications and interactions, especially when many family conflicts can lead to a communication breakdown and eventual ruptures. And so how exactly do you go about incorporating these guidelines to support more effective communication? Well, you can start by focusing on developing principles instead of rules that guide your family interactions. And so why guidelines over rules? Well, you can think of rules like specific instructions that someone dictates what exactly your family should and shouldn't do in certain situations. And so this approach can often be seen as rigid and established by an authority that everyone is expected to follow to the letter of the law or to a T. So then breaking a communication rule could result in a predefined consequence or punishment and ultimately further resistance from one or more family members. Here again, rules can be rigid, so your family needs something more flexible if it's going to work together for the long haul. And that's where principles come into play. Now, principles are more like fundamental beliefs or philosophies that guide your family's behavior and its decision-making process in a broader sense. Indeed, rather than being the state trooper ready to hand out speeding tickets to your family, your principles offer a more flexible, graceful approach during times of indiscretion. Indeed, the way you interpret and apply principles is based on your family's shared understanding and your family's shared judgment. And the great thing about using principles is they tend to be more about moral and ethical standards rather than specific black and white rules or ways of behaving that need to be followed. That's why, while breaking a rule is often seen as a clear-cut act, not adhering to a principle is more about straying away from a personal or shared family value system. At the same time, a principle-based guideline can help you and your family better understand how to express yourselves effectively and actually listen to each other when times get tough. Indeed, during times of conflict or misunderstanding, your charter might offer a set of principles that encourage open and honest communication and ensures that everyone feels heard and feels valued. Ultimately, it's about creating a safe environment where each family member can share their thoughts and their feelings about a given disagreement without the fear of judgment or reprisal. At the same time, in situations where communications breakdown do occur, the family charter serves as a reference point to realign and recalibrate your interactions as a family unit. It reminds you of the agreed upon ways to address conflicts and misunderstandings, which could involve structured family meetings, mediation by a neutral family member, or even seeking external help when necessary. Either way, the key takeaway here is that a charter provides a clear path to follow when navigating rough waters that ultimately keeps your family unit together as a whole. All right, so now that you understand how a basic family charter can help you chart a course for your family and keep you on track during those tough times, you're all set, right? Well, the fact is that a family charter is rarely, if ever, a set it and forget it tool. Indeed, as you move through the different stages of your family's life and incorporate one generation to the next into your family, it's essential to frequently review and update your family charter to ensure that it remains relevant and reflective of your changing circumstances. Indeed, just as your family grows and evolves, so too should your family charter. And so how do you go about doing this work? Well, you can start by considering how life changes over the past year have affected your family overall. These could be major events like getting married, new family additions, or career changes, to even more subtle shifts in values or goals and family aspirations. Indeed, each of these milestones or turning points can alter the dynamics of your family and introduce new participants or responsibilities and challenges that need to be addressed within your charter. That's why by reviewing and revisiting your family charter on a regular basis, you ensure that it adapts to these changes and continues to reflect and serve as an effective guide for your family's interactions and future decisions. And so how can you approach this review process? Well, you can start by scheduling a dedicated time for your family to come together so you can review your existing charter and kick the tires on its relevance. Now, in this situation, rather than scheduling a meeting in a formal setting, this get get-together should be set in a comfortable and neutral environment where everyone feels comfortable expressing themselves without fear or judgment. Remember, the goal here is to have an open and honest discussion where everyone's input is valued and heard. Then, as you're reviewing your existing family charter, take some time to reflect on each section of the charter and discuss with your family how well it's served you guys so far in the year. You can start by asking very basic questions like, does the vision and direction we set for our family still make sense? You could even consider how well have the principles that this family's defined really helped during times of conflict. At the same time, encourage members of your family to share their experiences and their perspectives, especially what's worked well and what could be improved upon in the way that you used the charter in the past year. And if you haven't even looked at your charter in the past year, then that could be something to consider as you move forward. Either way, this reflection will help you identify what aspects of this charter are still relevant and which ones need to get with the times. And here again, as you discuss the necessary updates, focus on how your family has evolved since your last review. More specifically, consider any significant family changes, such as a new member addition, shifts in family dynamics, or changes in your collective goals and your values. The emphasis here should be on aligning your updated charter with your family's long-term vision and legacy, which might involve revisiting your family's mission statement, your family's values, and your family's long-term goals. And finally, once you've agreed upon the updates, it's essential to document these changes in a clear way and have them written so that all members of your family can easily access them. This could be as simple as posting the updated charter on your family refrigerator or updating your family's website with its latest PDF. Either way, after updating this document, it's crucial to make a plan for regular future reviews because this ongoing process will ensure that your family charter remains a dynamic and relevant tool for your family for generations to come. You know, when it comes down to it, money does grow on trees when it grows on your family tree. And while liquidity events or asset transfers are useful to this end, creating a family charter is even more crucial to this process because it serves as a roadmap that guides family members on how to effectively communicate, how to resolve conflicts, and how to adapt to life's changes. Indeed, printing money is more than just accumulating financial assets. It's about fostering a collaborative and supportive environment where each member is committed to the family's long-term vision and prosperity. And this commitment extends beyond immediate family members to include a broader community network, which reinforces the idea that wealth is not just measured in monetary terms, but also in the strength and unity of our relationships. So then, by laying a strong foundation with a family charter, you can not only ensure that your family tree bears fruit for generations to come, but you can also take one step closer to becoming the master of your own financial independence journey. Well, that's it for now. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the FiMastery podcast. To learn more about today's topic, you can visit the episodes page at FiMastery.com. And if you can find one person in your life who would find today's message helpful in getting their financial house in order, please share this episode with them. But until next time, I'm Peter Donisanu, wishing you and yours abundant health and prosperity.
The FiMastery podcast is brought to you by Franklin Madison Advisors, Inc. Franklin Madison Advisors is a registered investment advisor firm with its registration and principal place of business in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Registration of an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. This commentary and forecast are limited to the dissemination of general information pertaining to Franklin Madison Advisors' investment advisory services and general economic and market conditions and are subject to change without notice. The information shared today is not intended to be personal, legal, investment, or tax advice, or a solicitation to buy or sell any security or engage in a particular investment strategy. For additional information about Franklin Madison Advisors, including fees and services, please contact Franklin Madison Advisors or refer to the investment advisor public disclosures.